Hello, my loves. Welcome. I am very excited about today's video because I wanted to get comfortable and sit down and talk to you guys about the familiarity of pain. I am very interested. I'm always interested to see your comments and what you will share in terms of your experiences, opinions, thoughts, beliefs. But I am especially excited to see your beliefs and thoughts and opinions for today's video and today's topic. Because when I've had conversations about this topic with people in my life, I've had different opinions, shared to me, which I find so interesting. So I'm very interested. This is definitely an open conversation, and I would love to hear if you relate to feeling this way because this is more personal experience from my point of view. Have you guys ever felt like you feel like you're meant for something else? There's a change that you want to happen in your life, or there's something that you want to work towards, something that you want to achieve, but there is this energy or this thing that is holding you back. And you can't quite take that next step to make what it is that you want to happen. I know there has been times where I felt like I was on the verge, like I was like on the edge of change, but there was something that was stopping me from taking that next step that would have made my life change, that would have brought me closer to my dreams and goals. I was stuck in that place and I didn't take that step, and I continued to live life exactly as I was. And you could relate to this for different situations. It could be a relationship that no longer feels right, but it just seems impossible for you to leave it. Or it could be a new identity, like you've outgrown your current self, your old self, but stepping into a new identity feels terrifying. It could be a new dream or thing that you want to achieve, but taking that first step feels so risky. So you stay exactly where you are, not because you're happy with your current circumstances, but because it feels familiar. Because you don't have to change. Nothing has to change. It's familiar. You know exactly what to expect. You're not happy, but you're comfortable. I really think that we do this so much more than we even realize we do. We end up choosing the comfort of what we know, even if it is uncomfortable, even if it is painful, because at least it's predictable. We know what to expect and we know how to deal with it. And although it's painful, it's comfortable. It feels comfortable. It feels like our comfort zone. It feels like that's all we know. And it's scary to step out of that. There's a strange safety in what is familiar. Even if it hurts us, it's still known. It's what we know. And I feel like as humans, our minds and brains want routine. We want to know what's coming. We want to predict what is going to happen next, which sort of ties into last week's video of wanting to be in control, wanting to control everything and, not being able to let go and have faith. Even pain, when repeated enough times, it starts to feel like home. And I feel like we often stay in situations not because we love where we are, but because we're afraid of what comes next. Change forces us into the unknown and it removes the illusion of control. It forces us to step into something that we feel we haven't mastered yet. And I feel like we start to worry and panic and overthink, and we come up with questions like, what if I fail? What if it's too painful, too much, too difficult? Or what if I lose much more than I gain? It's the unknown. We don't know what's going to happen. We don't have the answers. And that is so scary. But I think the truth is that we will never really be ready for change because our brains are wired to have that comfort and to seek for that comfort, to need that comfort, even at the expense of our growth. But ask yourself this: what if the pain of staying the same is actually greater than the fear of moving forward? What if clinging to what feels familiar to you now is stopping yourself from actually being who you're meant to be? And something that really helps me is thinking about the changes that I've had in the past, because I've changed a lot over time. I've had different jobs, I've lived in different places, I was completely different people. Like I've changed so much as a person throughout the years as well. And every time that change happened, my life significantly improved. So I try to remind myself of that every time I'm scared to step into the unknown. Sometimes we get caught up in this illusion of safety, and we convince ourselves that staying where we are is the safer choice. We tell ourselves things like, I know how to handle this. I know what to expect. I know how to react to it. I know how to handle it. And we convince ourselves that it's better to stay where we are instead of starting over. But is it really safety that we're living? Are we living in safety, or have we just created this cage for ourselves? Because I don't think that real safety comes from avoiding change. I think real safety comes from knowing and trusting that you can handle everything that life chucks at you, that you're supported, and that you can change, that you can widen your horizons and spread your wings, and that you don't have to limit yourself to what you know. I've been sitting here brainstorming about what I've done in the past when I was trying to let go and choose growth. And these are a couple of things that have helped me. Letting go doesn't mean that we forget. It doesn't mean that we ignore the past and pretend it never happened. It means that we come to terms with it. We come to terms with what has happened, how it changed us, how it made us feel, and then we get ready to move on. It starts with small, intentional choices. Recognize what's keeping you stuck. What are you afraid of? What are the things that your brain is telling you as reasons why you can't move on? You can't step forward. You can't change. When I look back at, you know, things in my life, even when I changed career paths, one of the biggest things that my brain was telling me is that I was incapable. I convinced myself so deeply. I was like, this is all you know, and this is all you're good at, and you can't change because you've been doing this for so long. This is what you're good at. You don't know how to do anything else. And so I had to break free of that mindset and step into the darkness, essentially. I stepped into a new, completely different career choice and career field that I had never done before, and I had no idea of at all. And it turned out so beautifully, and now I have my dream job not even 2 years later. Imagine your future self. Imagine the version of you that has taken that step, that has stepped into those changes, that did go for their dreams and goals. What are they living like? What are the choices that they made? What choice would they tell you to make? What would your future self tell you right now? Because if I could go back in time and tell my old self, that was so worried about changing careers and that really did not believe in herself, if I could talk to her, I would say, look at our lives. We're living our dream life. And it was all because of the changes that you made. It was all because of the steps that you took blindly, not knowing if it was going to work out. So think about your future self, because I guarantee she would be saying something very similar to you right now. Take one step. Take one step forward. It does not have to be drastic. It does not have to be big. It can be one step. And sometimes that one step can be asking for help, reaching out to a friend and saying, hey, I want to change, but I don't know where to start. Let the people around you help you. Sometimes it is the smallest shift that creates the biggest transformations. And I feel like I say this very often here on YouTube, but you cannot change your life from one day to the next. It has to be in small steps, in small everyday actions. So start small, start with your first action, start with your first thought of acceptance, of knowing, okay, I'm scared and I don't know what's going to happen. And I don't want to leave the comfort that I'm in right now, but I know that I have to, because I know that it will be good for me in the future, even though I don't have all the answers, even though I have to blindly trust and have faith. Definitely do go watch the video I posted last week about faith, having faith, even of the unknown, trusting that you are guided, loved, supported every step of the way, even in the moments that it doesn't feel like it. Accept how you're feeling and take that first little step. Learn to sit with discomfort. Growth and change will never feel comfortable at first. So learn how to sit with that discomfort. Learn how to walk through those first moments of being uncomfortable, and you will find so much peace and so much joy on the other end. Trust that what is meant to be will not pass you by, even if things take time, or even if you can't see the end of the journey. Like, you know roughly where you want to go, but you don't know how to get there, or if you will, or when you will. Trust that what is meant for you will find you. Trust that things are happening how they're meant to for your benefit. I feel like when we try to control things, we actually keep ourselves stuck and we lessen our potential. I feel like sometimes we are meant for so much more, but because we don't believe that we are, we keep ourselves stuck into a much smaller life or a much smaller box, an invisible cage. When we step into the unknown and we let ourselves be guided, there are so many more doors that open for us. There is so much more opportunity that comes our way, and our dreams become true. And we widen our horizons. We're no longer stuck in that small cage that we've put ourselves in. What is truly meant for you will find its way to you if and when you're ready to make space for it. You can't be presented new opportunities if there is no space in your life for these opportunities. So widen your horizons, be ready for change, and be open to the possibilities of what the future will bring. Change will never feel easy, and letting go will never feel effortless. But what is worse, the discomfort of growth, which does not even last very long, or the slow ache of regret. Sometimes, when I am in one of those moments where I do want to change and there is something that I really desire and that I know that is meant for me, but I'm afraid to take that first step, I sit and think, what if 1 year from now I am exactly where I am today? Not because that's what where I'm meant to be, but because I was too afraid to take that first step. You have to make that decision of, will you choose familiarity or will you choose taking a blind step forward towards something better? I'm definitely very excited to hear your thoughts because there are so many times in my life where I have chosen the familiarity of sadness, of pain. I became so familiar with feeling anxiety and depression that it was hard to step out of it. It was hard to sit with myself and say, hey, you can actually better your life. And I think admitting to myself that I almost did not want to change out of those really bad mental states because it felt comfortable to feel that way, it was saddening for me to admit that to myself, and it was hard. I had to do a lot of self reflection and a lot of understanding, and I had to be very compassionate with myself and with my brain before I could change, before I could step forward. And I feel like I see it a lot with humans. We get stuck in the familiarity of pain because that's what we're comfortable with, and we limit our potential, we limit ourselves because we don't want to take that step, because we don't want to go into the unknown. So we would rather tie our hands and keep living a life that does not bring us joy rather than letting go and moving forward just because we're scared, just because change is scary and it's uncomfortable and we don't know how to deal with it, whereas we do know how to deal with the pain that we're feeling right now. I think it's so interesting, and I'm definitely really interested to hear what you guys think. Bye.